whether you liked Warlords of Draenor expansion or not, it was a polished piece of shit. So like, you know what I
mean? Nerd on.
What's everyone?
Yeah.
What is everyone?
Keeping it in. Fuck it, we're going live.
What is everyone?
I need more coffee.
What is
clearly?
What is everyone?
Do you guys remember those old "What's up"? Now it's "What is?"
What is everyone? Welcome to Nerd on the podcast. You didn't need, but you deserve. Today we're going to be talking about the state of the video game industry as a whole.
Doing
Real
something
quick,
a little different.
Yeah, I thought we'd talk. It's still nerdy, still within the vein of what we do.
Yeah.
I'll start things off. I'm Corey.
Ollie, Josh,
Tom welcomes all of you.
Grandpa
Everyone is
Tom.
welcome.
Yeah, we just want to touch a little bit today on kind of. I like the. How did you phrase it before, Josh?
It's the state of and the true price of gaming.
I love that. I
Well,
love
actually,
that title.
Sounds like some Huffington Post
It does.
article.
It does.
Some clickbaity ass.
Well, what's funny is
Liberal media.
I had a couple of people reach out to me that, first of all, love the show, but they were like, "I'd really like to get your guys' thoughts on." Well, they started with like the state of gaming and just like the microtransactions and that kind of thing. And
Really?
so, yeah.
Most people ask me to shut up because they think I just cut people off. I'm pretentious.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's me. That's
No,
me.
that was-
I'm pretentious.
Okay.
Yeah, you're pretentious.
But I agree. It's something that I think I've mentioned. We've all kind of mentioned on a few other
Every video
episodes.
game episode we
mentioned
about it.
We mentioned
microtransactions and and
It's just a change.
It's something. It is a change. It breaks my heart a little bit. We'll get into that. But there's also a lot of good things that are coming out of the video
Can
game
we start
industry
with the
right now.
positive?
I mean, and
Let's do
again,
it.
this is my favorite. This is my shit right here. When we get to anal eyes with our anal eyes and
Yeah.
Yeah.
laser shit.
Don't forget, we're all gamers. Like
Yeah.
we
Yes.
all. It's what I
Yeah.
do with most of my free time.
Oh,
we
My
still
wife
lo-
hates it, but
Yeah.
loves it at the same time.
We love it, and it's growing with us, and it's learning, and we're learning, and it's adjusting. Because I mean, back in the day, it was just like blowing the cartridge and it's fixed, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
We're not
Oh,
dealing with that
man.
simple technology. So
But yeah, there are some really fantastic and great things coming out of the video game industry right now, and not only with gameplay and stuff like that, but the way that companies are telling stories through video games. I know, Josh, you had a good time playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, man, I
This
love
year,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And I played my fair share of games that really touched me right in the old heart souls.
Yeah.
So I want to dive into that a little bit. Kind of, what are some things that you're noticing that the video game industry is doing right? Tom,
I'm going
hands
first.
straight up.
So I mean, one of the big things I don't know. One of the big things I really love, or one thing I actually hate in a video game.
We're starting with the good stuff first.
No. So one of the things I hate about some video games is that they tell their story through cinematic. They don't tell it through gameplay. And so I'm a big filmmaker guy. So I'm a big fan of like, show me, don't tell
show
me.
not tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
okay.
And with the video game though, it's do it to me. Don't tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like beat me up, kill me, so I could learn the mechanic. Something really good that does that is the Dark Souls and Bloodborne games,
Yep.
where the first fucking thing you have to do is die. So when you die, you come back and then you unlock your weapons.
Yeah.
And it's bullshit. And you're like, because I played Bloodborne because I love the fucking gothic shit. And you fight
It's a
giant
pretty game.
werewolves and
Yeah.
monsters. And it's fun. It's hard. It brings back that, like, you have to learn the game. You have to learn the mechanics of each enemy, not just pretty much increasing your avatar with the RPG element. You could do that, but it's really kind of a soulless game if you do that. Once you actually learn the mechanics, how to run, how to each blunderbuss gun works, and your saw and your
Dodge.
cleaver blades work, then you start actually feeling like, oh, I'm learning as the game's progressing. And one of the first things you do, you wake up and you're met with the werewolf. And typically a werewolf is not that difficult once you're like powered up and all that. But fighting fisticuffs with a werewolf, you're gonna fucking lose.
Yeah.
And I remember like playing this game, I was like, how the fuck do I win? And I was like thinking so old school that like it's, you know, a matter of punching your way through everything and like, okay, I gotta go through it and trying to dodge and evade this monster and like trying to punch it, and you're just doing small chip damage. And then finally,
Like
yeah.
one.
And then finally, I was like, fuck this. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I went online, I looked it up. And I was like, when you die, a weapon unlocks to your left. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I got it, and I was like, oh shit. And so it's like you have to die in order to learn how the game progresses. And that happens throughout the game. There are some enemies you are not supposed to beat. And it's like, oh shit, that's how it's telling me the story. Because there's some there's some games
It's
that
really
will like,
interesting.
there's some games that will like just you're playing the game, then all of a sudden fucking 10-minute long cinematics. And you're like, well, couldn't you have just done this throughout the game instead of having me stop and pause? You're making it more of like a cinematic video game instead of like a cinematic experience where I'm playing through it. A game that kind of does this a lot is like Metal Gear Solid. A game that kind of tried to change that was like Resident Evil 4, where you'd have these action sequences, which like God of War started utilizing.
Yeah.
And so for me, like I'm a big story.
Was that the like 3 seconds to press X?
Yeah,
and then
press
Y?
R repeatedly. Press, rotate your L stick or something like that.
Yeah.
But games that like the Telltale series, I think does really well. Is
The South Park games, they do that a little bit too, where you have to like you have controls during some of the cinematic / gameplay
got it.
things.
What I really liked is in one of the Telltale series or the Telltale series, you have decision-based game where you're going through as a character and based on your decisions will change the course of the
Quick
game.
decisions too.
Quick decisions.
You have like 5 seconds, like left or right, and you're like,
Exactly.
Right.
And that was one of my points specifically is one really big thing that I love in film language, and I don't know why I'm making a film thing in a gaming episode, but in film
Because
language,
you're Tom.
the most binary sense of right and wrong is left and right, black and white, red and blue. And they do that in these games where like your decisions will like all of a sudden turn to red and blue and then left and right, X and Y, A and B. And you're like, what do I do? What do I do? And it's so visceral on a level where your brain can absorb it that I feel like you didn't have that shit in like older games. In older games, you kind of read things like a sentence. You just went from left screen to the right of the screen.
Yeah.
But now you're in a 3-dimensional world.
I really like that death. You have to die to figure out the rest of the game because it's one of those things where you see a company going, okay, what's something we can do that they've never seen before, and that's kind of pushing one of these mechanics that goes against your instinct.
Yeah.
It really does. Like everything that you've learned about video games up to that point is don't die. That's like
Just
the
live.
number one thing.
Game over. You do not want game over.
So, coming from a penny arcade kind of thing where I used to have to pay quarters every time I died,
Yeah.
that's a weird mechanic for me. And I love that. I love that people are trying new things. And whether it works or not, it's still commendable that they were like, I'm going to try it. In this case, it did. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Bloodborne is so fucking amazing.
But I agree with you. There's a lot of games. The game story-wise that touched me this year was World of Warcraft Legion. Following one of the arguably one of the most dismal expansions that World of Warcraft almost killed the game. They have this beautiful story-driven expansion where suddenly the things you're doing are not these like, oh, go get
Is this
6.
the new one
It's the new one.
that
yeah.
they announced during BlizzCon?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. This is the one that
Right before.
is about to
That
end.
hadn't been out, yeah.
It's insanely story driven. You have artifact weapon. The weapon you have levels up with you. It's part of your experience.
interesting.
Like I love
That's awesome.
love stories like that. Like things that I can really sink my teeth into story wise are the types of games that I keep coming back to again and again. And within the industry alone, not only are we pushing as far as like mechanics go or story, but we're also pushing like hardware. Now
Yeah.
with like the new, we have a lot of 4K systems now. The Xbox
Yeah.
One X now is it's 60 frames a second with 4K.
I mean,
and-
VR's making big breakthroughs.
yeah, and it's a cool time to be a gamer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really is cool.
One of my favorite, I think the thing that blew my mind was playing through BioShock for the first time. Because like there's
Like the whole series?
the whole series,
Yeah.
or even the first game that you play through, there's no like cutscenes
Yeah.
Yeah.
at all. I'm pretty sure, and it's all told through like these voice boxes or through characters radioing in on you, or the especially in BioShock Infinite, like showing like reveal shots of you walking through the space and having things arranged in a way to where it's kind of like going through like a Disney ride in a way where it's like kind of telling the story as you're walking through.
Yeah.
And it just done so well. And Ken, like big shout out to Ken Levine, the creative director for the no longer in business Irrational Games that made BioShock and BioShock Infinite.
I think it's
Infinite
when
was
it's
phenomenal.
games like that and BioShock, it when they set the rules specifically like that where you're abandoned, you all of a sudden show up on a lighthouse, you're like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And you're kind of just trying to figure things out. And they don't do cutaways, they don't do cinematics. It's rewarding you and your curiosity.
Yep.
And I think those are the big points of, I think, to me, in gaming and thematics is like when you reward the gameplay for what it is, and not like, here's this piece of candy of some good cinematics that we showed 2 years ago during the E3 convention. It's like, I don't. All right, cool.
I think the most it had was like a button. I believe it had a button, at least in the first game, where you pushed it and it like took your camera to look at what was happening. Like if those like crawler things were coming down, you could hold like R3 or something and it would like point the camera.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uncharted does that a little bit. The Uncharted series, like it's like
Uncharted is another great storytelling.
Oh man, great storytelling. You're kind of active in the cinematics. Yeah, they're cinematic, but then there's an activity in it.
Well,
at some point.
The way that they have the third person set up. I mean, it's shoot 'em up the bad guys, the game, and then Indiana Jones, like fun.
Yeah.
But I think the story and kind of like what Corey was talking about, like the pushing of the idea of video games, where it is becoming a very immersive experience, where you have these like top tier voice actors who are playing these roles, and now they've immortalized them. I mean, Nolan North is forever going to be Nathan Drake for me, and it's just such a charismatic character that I was like, I would like. Now we're getting to the point where it's like we're seeing kind of a resurgence of, can this work as a movie? Can this work as a movie?
Oh, give me a Halo movie, please.
And
Well, it'd be interesting.
God.
I think games are in a really unique place, and I wholeheartedly believe that video gaming has the potential. You know, you don't have too many perfect examples of it, but has the potential to be like the ultimate like medium, like above film and above like dance and above.
Look at
like,
Grand
comics.
Theft Auto 5 broke records because it made $1 billion out
That too, yeah.
of off
Is that-
sales. Like they've never. That's insane.
Yeah.
For a video,
And
for
it's
an
still
interactive
going.
experience.
It's still my little brother was like, "Hey, you want to play GTA 5?" I'm not a GTA fan. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm not.
That's okay.
But it's
fine.
It was
it's
a
kind
great
of
game.
amazing. It really is
Yeah.
a cool game. I
And
just
it's still doing really well. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's hard to find the game on sale. Like it's still full price game.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think, and we're not just talking, for me, I don't know why I'm going to stick to the stories for some reason, but I'm not just talking about like these huge, like graphically designed 4K beautiful films. I'm talking about like these like platformers too, where you're going from left to right. But the story that they tell is like,
Cuphead.
there's no dialogue involved in all. And it's just like, they're doing like nice homages to predecessors, but the way that they're doing it is like great too.
also
Cuphead's another one of those ones. I'll let you. Sorry, I'll jump just to say this real quick. Is
you cut
amazing
him
to
off?
me. I did.
Not really.
Well, we kind of talked at the same time.
time.
But Cuphead was amazing because every single character in that game is hand drawn, which I thought is really cool. I've never seen anything like that before. So
Giving
just-
room for, you know, old school like hand drawing like artists.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know?
cool example of someone saying, "I'm going to try something no one's tried before," and it being really rewarding.
Going to Ollie's point, like it gives room for like the medium to be the all medium.
Yeah,
pretty much.
because especially with the hardware, which we'll talk about in a minute, is like it's finally at a place where you really have no restrictions whatsoever. Like we're talking about like VR and all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want.
except feel.
Yeah,
Except feel. Or again,
yet.
Yet.
Yet. Well, what I was gonna say is like in 2017 we had the re-release of Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those things. I played it, and it was again, it's one of those things you play it and you're like, oh my god, video games used to be so hard.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, you just saw what they could do, like to be able to remaster it and make it.
yeah.
I mean, it was already a fun game. But then you bring it into the graphics of today, and you're like, "Oh man, this."
Well, that's what made the Halo Master Chief Collection and Halo 1 and 2 re-releases so successful. Is you're taking these games where they're really at the core. I mean, we didn't have the technology to make them great. I mean, I'm sure back in the day I was like, Halo looks real.
Yeah.
But, you know, you didn't have that technology. So you really did rely on core mechanics.
Yeah.
So to take these games that had great core mechanics like Crash Bandicoot or like the original Halo Combat Evolved and repurposing them for today's standards is insanely smart. It's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And those games, I played through the remastered editions of 1 and 2 of Halo 1 and 2, and it's you at any time you could hold down the select and it would show you what it used to look like, and then you let go and
I didn't know that.
I
I have
remember
it.
that.
I didn't know that.
it's amazing. It's
I mean, that's why I'd love.
I
to
actually
see,
like to go back to the old songs a lot.
yeah.
I'd love to see a remastered version of Final Fantasy VII, like we have mentioned. Like, I just want you to remaster it. I don't want you to remake it and make it into this other thing that you're
not what we're
talking
getting.
about. I want a remastered of what I saw.
Yep.
Of what I played.
I would
Please
pay
don't
full
fuck
price
with
for
it.
that.
I would pay-
Don't George Lucas it.
I would get the
happening.
deluxe or the gold deluxe or whatever
Yeah.
of that game. I would
I
be
agree.
like, fucking give it to me.
Another thing I want to talk about
we're getting the John Woo
is,
FF7.
is we are pushing the limits of story, and we're pushing the limits of interactability and what they're doing with graphics and stuff like that. But we're also pushing the limits of multiplayer, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're seeing something that back in the day when I was like 11, never would have comprehended. When I heard there was 8-on-8 battles, I lost my shit. I was like, how can you keep track of 8 other people? And now we have 40-on-40 team
50 on
deathmatch.
50 on Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So like that's
Fortnite
to
and
me
PUBG.
is probably one of the coolest things I could think of.
I mean, I think, and I said before, you got to give credit where credit's due. I wholeheartedly put Halo as a reason for being like the pioneer of making like multiplayer such a big reason why everyone wants to play it.
Yeah.
Halo 2.
Halo
like,
2
multiplayer.
Zanzibar.
So it was the first time you had matchmaking.
Oh my god.
And like the big team battle, like CTF games.
God.
I remember
so
Big
many
Team Battle
hours.
where you're like 14-on-14. What? How do you do it?
Yeah.
But now we're talking 50-on-50 and you don't know what's happening.
You don't know what's happening. Yeah, you're just like I'm alive.
I have personally yet to play PUBG, but I've watched a lot of people play it on Twitch. It's a really great mechanic that they've put into the game where the map continually shrinks over time.
Brings you together.
Freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
Makes me pee a little.
I agree, but like
You're paired
imagine
up with somebody randomly, right? And then like just like all matchmaking.
You can go
and then-
solo or you can go squad. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the thing about it is the only thing that concerned me with the 50-on-50 is when it gets down to the last 2 people on a map that's supposed to fit 100 people.
Yeah.
How do you find each other? And so that's the answer to that is we're going to make it so that by that time you're only going to be in 2 rooms worth of space. So I think, the stuff that they're doing with multiplayer as far as pushing the servers goes is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to this later on in this episode, but I mean, there's still some work to do.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But
I
the
mean-
fact that people are even attempting to do 50-on-50. I mean, World of Warcraft is opening it up to large scale RTS battles now.
I mean,
the next
it's one
expansion.
thing to say like it's like you say with Tom, what you say with some of the movies that we've talked about. It's like we're lucky it's being done.
I might have said
It's
that.
like you've said it a few times, but it's the same thing with video games. It's like stop bitching. I mean, really, we have no room to bitch, but really, it's like okay, well nowadays. We have some stuff we can bitch about that it's like,
Well,
why isn't that a thing yet?
I say, I think it's a fine line. I think it's a fine line of like when people are like, who hate on it and trash on things just to trash on it. We all know them as trolls, and we all know that
Yeah.
people who hide behind a screen and just like throw putrid filth
We've
out
had
their
some
mouth.
experience with those.
Yeah. And
Everyone does.
And so for me, my main thing is just like, I think we're at an age, we're at an intellectual level where we can start, like, again, my favorite word, analyze things.
I imagine 2 eyeballs that are actually buttholes.
I imagine 2 butts are actually eyes.
Oh, okay. Totally reverse.
But I mean, we're at a point where we can, critically look at these things and say, like we could take, and that's why I say the thing of like, I could take apart the Dark Knight if I want to. It's like, take the thing that you love and start looking at it and looking for the flaws because there's always a way to do better. Once you say like, there's no way better, then it's like, then you're complacent.
Yeah.
And you don't want to push the boundaries. And from there, we lose progress.
Sadly, you don't have to look too far to find that.
For some things. Yeah, definitely.
Well, we could jump into that a little bit because I did.
I mean, do we have any other
Well,
positives?
before we get into that, I think a good transition would be, I don't know, is there more positives?
I'd say.
I'm sure there's going to be a ton.
We'll have separate episodes for like specific
I'm-
games and
I mean, a big thing I like with gaming now is like the interactive ability. Like you have gamer profiles, so you can see when your friends are like winning achievements and stuff like that. You can see when they're online.
And I
you
do
can chat
dig
with them.
the integration of Twitch into both Xbox.
Yeah.
PlayStation has it too, I'm assuming. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
and talking about like again multiplayerness, like we all know the app Discord. So like apps like that now have been created where like it's purely now utilized for conversations through games, so you don't have to chat. Or
It's a
something
great.
like that.
There's a great social aspect that has been built, and it doesn't have to be as fun as they were LAN parties anymore. Now you can have a LAN party in quotes with somebody who's across the world, and you're playing, and you're starting to meet people, and I've heard love stories. I've heard all sorts of different things of people meeting while gaming, and it's just
I'll give a shout out to my PC clan for Destiny and now PUBG. Big old critties. Shout out to big old critties.
Yes.
You do
But
take
we're
out critics,
all
but
like,
okay.
I'm pretty sure we're all like within like 30, 40 years old or whatever. And we have a Discord that we always jump into, and it's just fun to like shoot the shit and play games. And
That sounds awesome.
yeah, it's basically like we're in the same household.
My roommate, his cousin got married, and his entire World of Warcraft crew came for the wedding,
That's cool.
and they
that's
literally
cool.
met on Warcraft. So
I
it's
like
like
that.
I think that's dope.
The community aspect is a huge part. I mean,
Yeah.
you've talked about the community in Destiny being really
Yeah.
positive and cool. And on Blizzard, there are some, obviously, I mean, in every community, there's some negative stuff. But like the experience I've had with Blizzard so far has been pretty great as far as
Yeah.
like Heroes of the Storm goes. I don't play in the league at all, Hero League. I just kind of play against people quick matches, and it's been pretty positive experience.
I mean, there's like cool things. I'm just talking about this, the multiplayer aspect and how it's just affected gaming. So I mean, like specifically, I remember playing a lot of time like on Destiny. I met people that I've never met that like my friends, and I was like, "Hey, do you know this guy?" And they're like, "No." One time we met. I think he was playing with this other friend Andrew, and then we met. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So this guy's just been like leading us the entire way. We don't know who the hell he is. Like, no, he's like, "Where does he live?" We have no idea. I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm afraid to ask him because I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if he's your friend or not," because they're always teamed up together. But I mean, the the Destiny companion apps. There's Destiny website where you can log in all your hours.
There's a subreddit dedicated to finding teams.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like there are so many auxiliary things that are being made just so that it can help with the gaming experience, which I think is, to me, again, anything that helps create more jobs, I think is always great, And then specifically as with games too, like now we're in this world where esports is literally a thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
how competitive can we get with this?
And there's like legitimate companies,
Yeah,
wanting to get on
sponsors
board,
and stuff.
like big companies wanting
Yeah,
to become
Blizzard
sponsors.
just built their Overwatch Coliseum.
That's right.
Essentially.
I mean, now we have an entire generation of YouTubers who are making a living off playing video games. Twitch streamers, it's like, it's
Like
it's
bank
crazy.
and a half too.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
a ton of
yeah.
fucking
One
money.
one of the commercials I first worked on was produced by Maker, which is a Disney company, which was created by Ray William Johnson, which is a YouTuber, which was a Star Wars Battlefront commercial with Walmart, and some famous YouTubers were on there, like JonTron and Captain Sparkles. So it's like these are gamers who are now making a living doing commercials for video games.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
But the thing I wanted to use as like a transition into the
segue.
not so great, the segue is kind of like a little bit about kind of like where the industry is as far as like the market and all that stuff. So
Qualms.
Yeah, I mean we had like PS3 and Xbox 360 were like a 10-year long plus almost 15-year like console generation, which is insane to think about.
yeah.
Because when the consoles hit the market, they're already like 2 or 3 years out of date as far as the hardware that goes in them. So it's crazy to think about that. And everyone thought that the console market was going to die. Like it was.
I
that was gonna
remember.
be it.
I remember people being like, "Well,
everyone's like,
consoles are dead."
everyone's like PCs, PCs,
PC is going to take over.
PC Master Race.
Exactly. But this is like the most successful console generation ever. Like PS4 is just like insane. I think I just read an article today dating this episode a little bit that I think Switch has just now become the fastest selling console of all
I
time.
read that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a funny thing just to speak about Nintendo. Like the Wii was that, and then the Wii U was a flop,
Right.
and then now the Switch. I'm like, Nintendo is always gonna be like, I think, quote unquote, like the top
Oh yeah,
selling
because they had the
console.
N64 and the GameCube was technically a financial flop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they had the Wii, which was
Wii.
huge. Wii U was a
back
flop. Switch back up. Interesting. I never thought about that.
I think the cool thing about Nintendo specifically, they're always trying to like innovate and like revolutionize. Like now you have these like weird console, like you have these weird cartridges. Now you have this like weird controller that has like you should have 3 hands for this.
Yeah.
And also like now you have these like micro discs. It's like there's no other game system that uses these discs. And then the Wii where it's like you have these weird controls. Now the Wii U where it's like you have a little tablet. Now the Switch is like bringing it around everywhere.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like they're always trying to revolutionize. So it's like, yeah, of course they're going to be like the top selling game or console ever, but it's like the lifespan on them I feel like are a lot shorter than PlayStation and Xbox comparatively.
Because they don't value like their top priority isn't like having the best specs or whatever, and so those consoles generally feel like
Dated
more
after a
outdated more sooner than the other consoles.
Yeah,
And-
their Nintendo's biggest focus is kind of like gimmicks, and not gimmicks is a bad word to say for it.
innovation.
Yeah, like trying something different, like the Wii U controllers or
You can, I mean,
the Wii
Like half the
controllers.
features on the Switch.
giving it like a time frame look, like you could talk about the Wii and the Wii U and the Switch. all came out between the time of PlayStation 3 and then a little bit of like the end of, or like, you know, in the middle of the PlayStation 4, where
Features is a better word.
PlayStation 3
Features.
literally had 4 or 5 Batman games throughout its lifespan, where you couldn't say the same thing about Nintendo.
No.
There's not one like series of Mario games that went out throughout any of the games.
I think there was like 2 Resident Evil games, maybe. I think 4
maybe
or 5, I want to say.
maybe. But every single time there was a new game for a new like franchise, it had to be on a new console.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with PlayStation and Xbox, like, you can play all of the Halo games on 360.
There's been one
Or
Zelda
Xbox
per
One.
generation.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like these, for me, I would say in terms of like how well Xbox and PlayStation does well with its franchises, like you'll get a lot of your game, and that's where you're kind of speaking. It's like they care about their hardware. So like even if a game comes out at the end of its life cycle, it could still support it.
Yeah.
Where like Nintendo, fat chance.
Second time it's happened where a Zelda game came out like right before a new console. So they launched an alternative version of that for the new console.
Was Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess, and then now with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
It's
that's
also
right.
out on
Yeah.
Wii U. But I mentioned that as in like the industry is huge. Like it's like a multi-billion dollar industry at this point. And the pressure is on for them to deliver these games, you know? And the thing I think I mentioned in a previous episode where the film industry kind of has the advantage because it's such an older industry and they kind of have it down. You know, they have got the formula down where like
Technically, they're like what?
You're a
little bit less than
freelancer.
100 years old now.
Yeah. If you're on a film crew, you know you're kind of like a freelance worker. You're going to be hired per project. The gaming industry is sort of like in this weird like in between where that's kind of the case sometimes because, you know, as these small companies keep getting bought out by bigger and bigger like EAs and Activisions, like they'll just close studios like it's nothing.
Or
But then
run them
you're
into
like-
the ground.
Yeah.
You know, hundreds of people out of jobs all of a sudden at the drop of a hat because they felt like it.
And also like video games.
R.I.P. Visceral.
Not, I mean, other
Yeah.
than like a James Cameron movie, will take significantly longer to make. And there's just like, I don't know, I don't, the cost I think to make a movie is way more, but I feel like the time to make a video game, it takes a lot.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
you could, you know, punch out new movies. Like a director like Steven Soderbergh
Well,
could
it's
make
like-
a movie every year. Whereas like you couldn't tell one franchise to make a new game every year.
Well,
They would
it's
make out
like-
shit products. Look
It's
at
like
Sonic.
a Pixar movie, though.
Right.
Think about it that way. It takes exponentially longer to make a
but those are
Pixar film.
separate teams. Those are like Pixar, and then like you'll have like you'll have like this team, the Toy Story team, making like something else, but it's like they're all going to be under the Pixar production company.
yeah.
Like Santa Monica will make
I
different
just-
games, like Twisted Metal and like God of War, but the God of War team has to continually making God of War games.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm just saying. As a comparison to a movie and an animated movie, like it takes a ton more because you're going literally almost frame by frame and having to make sure everything's right. And there's a lot more testing.
Yeah.
You can't test. You can test a movie by screening it places,
Right.
but like testing a video game is a whole nother beast.
I mean,
to me, like we looked at this like the Blizzard cinematics. It's like to me equivalent to like a Pixar cinematic. But thing in Pixar stuff, like you don't have a asshole video gamer trying to jump off a cliff.
Yeah. Right.
Like you can't account for those things. Like to me, that's one of the first things I love doing about a video game. It's like,
Can I jump off a cliff?
let me battery it. Let me battery test this and like just try to break the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see if we can do it. Because it's not like I want to break the game, but it's more like let's see how polished this is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like people are looking for that polish. People are expecting to spend the $70, $80 to get that polish.
I'm going to use that as our segue into the shit that's going wrong in the game industry because that's one of my biggest things is unfinished games being released and banking on the fact that they can just fix it later with a patch.
or with a DLC.
Yeah, or something like, you know
That
what I mean?
you
Like,
have
To pay for more.
so my biggest example is of like rushed game, put it on market, let's fix it later, is the ending to Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, you mentioned that
Arguably
before.
within the industry, I mean, within the community, one of the worst endings to a video games ever that they had to fix with a patch like 2 months after the game came out.
Wow.
So I remember, I mean, we all remember back in the day when you would buy a game, it would be delayed. This is why I respect Blizzard a little bit as far as a game company is they have no
Take their
problem
time.
delaying games.
Yeah.
Their motto, they'll put dates on it now. I think now that they've kind of got a rhythm of it, but it used to be, when's that coming out? When it's ready. That's when the next expansion's coming out. When's the next Diablo game coming out? When it's ready. So, you know, they had a real stick to it kind of motto that we're not going to release anything until we feel that it's ready, whether or not it's past our original expected date. We don't care.
Yeah.
And they would always deliver. They always deliver, whether you liked Warlords of Draenor expansion or not. It was a polished piece of shit. So like, you know what I mean? I really respect that kind of stuff. I would rather these gaming industries say, oh, we're going to hold off. It's not ready yet. I would be like, cool. Don't take my money until it's ready, please. You know,
Yeah.
You guys are promising something in exchange for my money. And right off the bat, a lot of these industries are willing to break that promise on the hopes that you're too lazy to take it back to GameStop.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it kind of like that model is like what old tech companies used to be like. You know, they would wait till the product is ready before being like nowadays like car companies where there's just like quality programs for all of them. And it's like, oh, that model had this problem. That model had this problem. It's like, oh, this one here. It's like, did you get the warranty? But now a lot of video games are kind of just like push it out as soon as we can because
the street
we
date.
said that, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like
And
you're trying to wait and you're trying to like build up to the holiday season too, and you're just like,
And they're banking on being able to, you know, stop, because at a certain point you have to stop production because you have to send your product to certification by Sony and Microsoft, and then it's got to go into mass production, all that stuff. But then, you know, the thing that gets me is that they plan that 3 months or whatever to keep to like, okay, we can get it done to here, but then we're gonna have 3 more months to work on it. And it's like that mentality is
Toxic.
Yeah,
It is.
I would rather them have a finished game and then that they're ready to ship, that they're confident shipping, and then maybe spend 3 months like working on like just like really small polishes or like new stuff.
And I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not against patches because I think patches are a great thing to fix little bugs here and there and stuff like that.
Because you never know.
And also games are a lot more complex than they were. Like if there is any kind of devil's advocate, it is that like every company's basically creating an operating system.
I remember seeing on the Dorkly website, like literally, I think it was just like one server or something like that with some of the files for one of the Uncharted games, and it was like 7 terabytes just to like, I think it was just like on one map.
Yeah, I
And
can
it's
believe
just like,
that.
That's crazy to think about. Just like just for the mapping,
Yeah.
for one level,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, I think reading other like Reddit articles where like there's one person that spent like an entire like year, their contract was just to work on the graphics for Batman's cape.
Yeah,
And it's like that's a whole life spent on a cape.
Yeah.
And it's like that's
Yeah,
crazy.
there was something that was saying that like his cape took like 20 gigs or something like that.
It's crazy, and that's what I'm saying. It's like versus where I think where old school gaming had it, where it's like you had barely any colors you could play with. You had very little things you could do with these lower end consoles, where it's like you could
you have to
jump,
make it a small game.
you can move forward. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So it's like
And I'm again going back. I'm all for balance patches are another big thing when you have a multiplayer
different.
game.
Yeah.
Making sure, but like releasing a game where if I have to put it in on day one, there's already a patch. You've done something wrong.
Yeah.
You've wronged
Star
me in
Wars
some way.
Battlefront.
Almost every game has day one patches.
Yeah. Almost
crazy.
everyone. Like
Yeah.
it's like you're like, yeah, I'm so excited.
So
and you're
play
like, and now I have to download the patch.
watch our concept
Yeah.
art
Or you
slideshow
have-
until it's ready.
You have games that like a couple of things that, and I know that we're gonna get into this a little bit, but it's like sometimes they'll release a game and then you're kind of under nowadays with the current economy of video games. It's like, okay, a game's going to come out and then it's going to have a DLC and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, there are some games that did their DLC right. Like Fallout 4.
Witcher.
That was fun. Witcher. There are games that are like, you think that there's DLC. They were kind of hinting at DLC, but then they just decide to make the DLC another fucking video game.
Yeah.
And if you got the season pass, they'll give it to you. But it's like, it's like Uncharted 4. There was DLC,
He's doing air quotes.
air quotes. Sorry, not everybody
bunny
gets it.
rabbits.
Bunny rabbits. Anyway, they were supposed to be DLC from what I understood when I pre-ordered it, and then the Lost Legacy came out, and there was no really any DLC for that I saw.
Yeah.
Or you have Dishonored 2. Love these games. I love the games, but then they release a second game that you're like, I want a DLC.
That also kind of gets to my point. I know we talked about this a little bit in the Destiny episode, but it's the reason I went back and got ice cream is I bought a game for $60 that was a third of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And that as a consumer is like a kind of dirt in my eyes kind of moment. Like, oh, so you took this part of my paycheck that I worked really hard for and supported your game with, but yet I got to spend another $80 to get the rest of the game. That's crazy.
Yeah.
to me.
Whereas like Batman games where you pay for skins or you
That's
pay
different.
for,
I
like,
have no problem paying
time
for
missions or something
cosmetic
like that.
stuff. And I think I mean, if that's the way it wants to go, I remember playing Spider-Man on the Nintendo 64 and being able to unlock all the extra skins by just doing stuff in the game, and I miss those days. But if we want to go forward with DLC and it wants to be cosmetic shit, I'm fine with that. But
Yeah, I'm
don't
fine with
take
it. I
away
understand.
my gameplay simply because you want to
wanna
make more money off me.
Yeah.
To be quite frank, I can't afford it. Like, I can't afford that kind of
Well,
shit.
I mean, the thing is, nobody really should have to afford it. I mean, it's like with this whole Michigan that happened with Battlefront 2.
Yep.
I mean, it's
That's a
fucking
whole nother
insane.
thing. Yeah.
What was the word you used?
Michigan?
Michigan? Like Michigan?
No, it's Michigan.
I
Never heard of it.
Never heard that word?
No.
I'm
I'll
learning
look up
today.
you guys go on and I'll look up the
There's
Michigan?
something, there's something very similar happening right now with Destiny 2, where there's a lot of scrutiny right now about the end game, and kind of like a lot of things are coming to light about how like Destiny 2 may have been rebooted like early 2016.
Oh, whoa.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so that's like Rise of Iron and Destiny 2 started development at the same time.
Oh, shit.
Like, think about that. And then so the
Holy shit.
third expansion for Destiny 1 came out, and then a year later Destiny 2 came out. So they had like maybe just under 2 years to finish Destiny 2.
Yeah, in the same amount of time they had to finish just some DLC.
And which is right. And then they have DLC planned. And my whole thing is like, I'm okay with DLC, but as soon as like you're saying, as soon as you deliver a subpar product, which would have been a lot better if they had included the DLC stuff, then it would have felt like a complete game. Like, that's where I have a problem, where it's like,
yeah.
you're not delivering a satisfactory game to begin with to then charge me DLC for additional stuff.
Yeah, and I know I'm kind of sound like a broken record because I said this on the Destiny episode too, but I used to shell out for map packs on Halo like nobody's business.
But you had a complete experience day one of Halo.
just because, I mean, and then it's not something I needed to do either.
Yeah.
Like, I could still go play multiplayer and those maps just wouldn't be in my rotation.
Yeah.
But I did it because it's a game. Every Halo game I played 4 times when I would buy it. I'd play once on normal, once on Legendary with a couple of my friends, and then once on Legendary by myself at least, and then probably a replay again. So like, shelling out for map packs to me felt like, yeah, I got
It felt like genuinely more
the experience that I
of
needed.
what
I have
you
no
loved,
problem.
as opposed to the rest of what you were supposed to get.
Right.
I do want to. It's funny because I want to bring up a argument or like a debate I had when I was in high school.
Okay.
And I was talking about Twilight Princess. What do you call or put as a standard as a complete experience then? Because the reason why I came up with this question, or like I thought about this, is because I remember when Twilight Princess came out, and this was like coming up after Wind Waker and all these other like little handheld Zelda games, and everyone was like, "Oh, Master Quest: Ocarina of Time is the best thing of all time. It's the best Legend of Zelda," and a lot of people equated the best Zelda game is because it's the longest one. They equated gameplay time to the full experience. And again, we were high schoolers, so we were a little dumb. Our brains weren't really fully formed. Shout out to my high schoolers who are listening. But for me, it was like, no, if I feel like it tells me a complete story, because God of War games are pretty short. But to me, it felt like a full experience that my character, either myself or the character I'm playing as, went through an experience.
Hero's
There's a
journey.
beginning, middle, of an end. Not all video games have great stories to tell it, but I feel like went through a
But you
journey.
can still tell there's a cohesive.
Well,
Yeah.
and I felt like there was a climactic last
Right.
battle shit, not like, oh, here's a cinematic that just ends, like Army, of Two. Jinx. But you know,
Like Army of Poo. that game was
that
shit.
went through, then I'd feel good about it. Because I mean, they're like I said, Batman. That's the one I felt like, okay, cool. I am willing to buy so I could play as fucking Nightwing.
Yeah.
I'm willing to buy so I could play as Catwoman. So,
Yeah. Because I was going to think of an example for me. I know that I've mentioned this a lot, but Horizon Zero Dawn was great for me. It had a beginning, a middle, and end. Just for the game that you got.
it's purely campaign. It's purely one story, a single player
It's
story
campaign.
game, right?
Yeah.
All the gear that you need is within it, and you can do quests to get new gear. You can buy new gear within the game, that using your in-game currency, you know, that you earn during battles or
You
whatever.
don't have to go to the store to go buy some shit. And like,
Yeah, no,
put
I
some
don't have to go
credits.
to the PlayStation Store. And then they release DLC that adds to the game that's already there. It's like, okay, and the story continues.
Yeah.
That's what I like about DLC. I don't mind if it's adding to, like, you played the campaign, cool, that story is done. Yeah. But now you have the DLC and something new is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I'm okay with that.
It's been some Bioshock.
Yeah,
that was
it's
like
adding
that.
it's adding experiences to those who love the base game enough to want to spend money on it.
Yeah.
On more of
Yeah.
that thing. And it's easy for the developers, or relatively easy for the developers, to continue that because they already have like the engine figured out. They already have all the assets they need. They just need to maybe like design a few new levels and like tell some really good stories and have some like maybe like 1 or 2 new like cinematic scenes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you've got yourself like a DLC, like the Witcher DLCs and stuff like that.
So
Yeah.
the way I was talking about this to someone the other day, and they were like, "Well, how do you where do you draw the line?" Like I like kind of like your question, like what is a complete story and what's not? And I equated it to Pokemon. I said, so let's say you get Pokemon Red, and the only things they included in the game was the 8 badges. But if you
No.
want to go to the Elite Four, you have to give us another $30, and we'll let you do the Elite Four. And after that, if you want to give us another $15 more, you can go back and like that kind of stuff. That's how I
You can go get
equated it.
Mewtwo.
Right. So like that kind of stuff is what got me with and like Destiny. Like that's how I felt with Destiny. I felt like I got my 8 badges, but they wanted me to pay another $20 to go to the Elite Four. So or games that, hey, I noticed you have all your Pokemon characters to level 70. Wouldn't it be cool to get them to 100? Hey, $15 more. There's extra game where they can level up another 20 times. You're like,
Yeah.
that's not right. That's not right to me. Like I wanted to. You said level 100. They're like, oh, well, we had the asterisks next
So-
to the.
Yeah. There was a footnote. You didn't read the fine
Yeah.
print.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't think
Was that a good way to equate
That's a
it?
good way. Like, and again, so I mean, talking about the Destiny episode, I came in at Taken King, and I purchased Rise of Iron later on. And to me, like, I already had. To me, Destiny at that point when I got Taken King was complete.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, I'll play it just so I can play with my friends and all that shit. I never had a really bad experience with that, other than like maybe like loot boxes and Overwatches, which we'll probably get into. But shit, what was I gonna say? Is it that when you get the perception that like this is an in-game built DLC bullshit, that like you knew the cap was going to be set lower than the actual capacity of the game?
Yeah.
It's that
It's like we
when it
make the level
becomes
cap to
evident.
70 when you know you can go to 100.
because there's those specific things, and that's not really it either, I don't feel, but like it's when you can observe that this game is less than because they had to stop and start working on DLC to sell you later. Where it's like you could have just not worried about that and kept working on the base game to make it more robust and more feature rich.
So kind of like this area is not available unless you purchase this DLC. Something
kind
like
of,
that.
or like
Sort of.
the game isn't as polished or isn't as epic of a story
Or
because they had to
storylines
stop
don't
working
get
on it.
finished because they continue in the DLC.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's
Like
so,
there was the whole thing with the in the first Destiny, the throne, that you
Like
only
Oryx and
yeah. And you
everything.
can't finish that storyline unless you spend another $60 fucking to get DLC. And I was like, but I was invested.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
invested. And you're telling me in order to find out what happens with these bad guys, I got to pay for a second half of the game.
It's like if you paid for, okay, I got a season pass to The Walking Dead.
yeah.
the game.
Let's say the TV show.
Okay.
The Walking Dead. Okay, I'm at the season finale. Cool. I'm invested by this point if I've watched half a season, but we're not going to, you got a season pass, but we're not going to give you the last 8 episodes unless you paid another $40.
Yeah. And like
Blue balls.
there's difference between cliffhangers in games. So like Halo 1 to Halo 2, there's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Halo 2 to Halo 3, there's a cliffhanger.
That's a sequel.
But it's because it
hanging-
ended.
But that's but all of those come after a moment where you're like, fuck yeah, I just took on
'Cause,
an
like-
army, da da da.
Because like
And
Master was like, I'm going to finish the fight. It's like, oh shit.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
almost
that was the
that
third one.
like you got the complete experience, but then something pops over Master Chief's shoulder and you go, what the fuck was that? And he's like, well, we got to take on this shit now. And you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to buy the next game for this.
Yeah.
But it'd be like, yeah, it's I can go on for
I get
days.
the-
giving
It's a
analogies.
difficult line to draw for sure. It's
Well,
not very like night and day.
I think I could draw it pretty well. I think the only reason why I think I'm drawing kind of a blank is because I don't buy a lot of video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've played a lot of classic, and I've been a big Nintendo person, and Nintendo's not really known for that shit. They're just more known for like, hey, you want to play your old games? Just download it on the store, and you can play it on your new console. Like you can play classic Mario Kart on your Switch and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I
So
wouldn't count those
imagine
as
Mario
DLCs.
Kart. It has DLC where you know how there's four races
50,
per cup or whatever.
150 cc.
4 races per cup. though, right?
Oh yeah.
Imagine you could only play 3 of those, but in order to finish the cup, you had to pay another $60.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
And so for me, I haven't played.
That just made my heart hurt.
I haven't played a lot of games where have done that to me. So that's why I'm like,
Right.
I don't know if I can relate yet, or if it's just something I haven't had experience with.
It's
It's
So,
happened
yeah.
so many times I can still taste the ice cream.
There's some
You know why? You
statistics
probably
out
have.
there.
It's probably because you have an Xbox. Oh shit!
It
There's
had
some
nothing to do with
statistics that
Xbox.
show,
It was Destiny.
No,
Everyone
because it was on Xbox. But
There's statistics that show that people generally don't mind paying for DLC as long as they feel like
they got a full game.
Yeah, they got a full game.
It's like
Yeah.
you got your full dessert. It's like, would you want
don't
to
have
pay
to do
another
that.
$5 for like
Yeah.
ice cream? It's like, yeah, I'll get some ice cream. At
And
the end
like
of this.
the devil's advocate side of this whole thing is, you know, the whole idea is that like games have remained the same price for like 20 years and they're not getting more expensive, but the cost of producing games are. And the studios are getting larger and they have to staff more people and they have to
Which is why
That's
there's
how
a
they're
big-
weighing it
get all
out.
their
by-
AAA or AA actors or whatever, A-list actors. There you go.
But I mean, shall we kind of move
yeah,
towards
I mean,
the microtransactions?
This is kind of
talk?
part of
That's
that
kind of
as
moving
well.
towards that.
There's
Is,
Yeah.
microtransactions for the companies to make more money, but also pay to win, which is within inside that.
Give me an example of pay to win. Because, okay, so for me,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm just oblivious to the term, but like for me, my biggest like thing of like I'm spending money regularly on a game because it just feels like it's faster for me to do so. Or like loot boxes in Overwatch, or if I threw in money on like fucking Clash of the Clans on the.
I got the
on
perfect example for you. Get Battlefront, pay $20 to be Luke Skywalker and just kill everybody.
What? Wait. Do you just be a character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
can
is
pay-
it you pay $20 and that's just for that round, or is it just for like you got to be that character forever? And just
I never bought it, so I don't know.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm
But
guessing
it's
you
a-
have the ability to like become him during the match.
Oh,
So
wow.
essentially, what it is the big thing with the loot boxes in Battlefront. I didn't buy it either, but from what I've been reading and what I've been looking at,
It looks like a beautiful game.
It does.
Ah.
And the reason they've removed loot boxes, paying for loot boxes for now, is one, they're under scrutiny for gambling because it's not just cosmetic
Because you
stuff.
can't tell how much if you'll actually get it or not. There's no
Right. So
real
the
way to
stuff-
get something.
The reason they're defining it as gambling and technically I guess Overwatch could be a part of it, but for now they're not because it's all cosmetic. The stuff in the loot boxes for Battlefront were actually things that would help you play better, do more damage, and become people like Luke Skywalker or Darth Maul. So people who could afford to buy more loot boxes had a higher chance of getting these strong characters.
Yeah.
Where people like me, I'm making a lot of money, I would have to do it through the progression system. In order for me to get to get a chance to get Luke Skywalker, it could be anybody, would take me roughly, I think they said 4,000 hours.
Something crazy.
Or you could spend $40 right away and have a chance to get one of them.
You know, it's,
So pay to win
yeah.
is that.
you know, it's funny. I have my roommate that has cousin that get the wedding and all that stuff. He works in finance, and he works with a bunch of people who work in the top 500 top Fortune 500 companies and stuff like that. And he have a bunch of friends that like that's kind of like in a place where gambling happens a lot.
Yep.
And there's a lot of study actually shows that like a lot of people who make over six figures like to do those microtransactions because they spend less money doing that than actually gambling. They'll spend like $3,000 a month, but that's less than they'll actually spend in extra casinos.
interesting.
Which is crazy because I remember the specific story was like reading was about Pokemon Go and how you could pay to get more egg incubators and pay to get like
Yeah.
more Pokeballs. And I was like, yeah, technically if you have a shit ton of money, you could pop more eggs.
That's pay to win.
Yeah, so
That's a perfect example right there.
okay.
So
But
that's,
that's
the people
also
getting
a
an
free
advantage.
game.
Yeah. It's a free
that's the
game,
other
but then like once you pay premium, then you're like access to higher shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So the issue with Battlefront is not only these people shelling out $60 to $90 depending on the version they got, but within that $60 to $90, they were expected to pay a bare minimum of 40 more just to get one of the characters. There's 6.
Oh wow! So I mean, like in the first Battlefront, where like if you were playing like Legends or Heroes, whatever, if you died, you can randomly become one of them.
No,
This one,
you
like
have
you
to
had to have it in a
unlock.
loadout.
You had to have it unlocked.
Wow!
And even that $40 wouldn't guarantee you would get one. You could
Wow.
still spend $40 in the game and not get a hero.
So I mean, I spent like at least $140 on Overwatch
But that's cosmetic.
Yeah.
just for like I can get this Reaper skin. But I mean, yeah, it's just all it is skin. And
This
I
was
like being a
actually
snob.
making you better at the game.
Oh, no, that's fucked.
So that's fucked.
I
Like
think some of it also comes down to like
DAS
how you feel about the studio a little bit. Like there's a little bit of loyalty with it. Where like with Blizzard, the game was $40 or $60 on console. But then like I'm not gonna get charged for that game.
free heroes,
Anymore.
free
Forever.
maps.
Yeah, free
unless
heroes, free
unless
maps.
you want to.
And then like they do unless you want to, but no, but you you have the like the winter event that just ended and all that stuff where they have cool new modes and you can earn the loot for that event.
And they have the weekly loot boxes you get.
Or you could spend, like at that point, that's when I choose to spend a little bit of money on those loot boxes, is just because it's like, I love this game. I love supporting Blizzard.
They also
like, I want
give
them to
you
keep
free
making
loot
it.
boxes every
Yeah.
They do.
season.
not season, but every time there's a new event,
Holiday event, yeah.
Every holiday event.
they give you 5 free loot boxes. I got my skin I wanted in my free loot box. I didn't spend a dime.
Yeah.
So like that's the kind of stuff where I go, okay, I give them credit there.
When it's done right.
When it's done right, yeah, and it's all cosmetic. I have no problem with that because I am one of those people. I like the cosmetic stuff, but if I'm broke, I'm not one of those people who's like, well, I want to enjoy this game.
I'll challenge a little bit of the Pokemon thing just because we got into it. Well, because in now new Pokemon games, like you can't get all the Pokemon, no matter what. You have to use like the game.
Well, that's why I
events.
said red specifically.
But the thing is, I'm kind of talking to your point where it's like you can't get all the Pokemon, but then if you're just a little bit more in tune to the news, you check your like little internet blog
It's
stuff.
all free.
It's free. All you gotta do is go to a GameStop or go to an event and then connect to their Wi-Fi and you get the Pokemon you want or get the thing that starts the quest.
Yeah.
Which to me, when you get that perceived idea like this isn't the full thing, but it's okay because I'm not gonna pay more, but I just have to be there, which is technically more part of the community aspect.
But you still
of
get
it.
the whole story of Pokemon. You still
Yeah.
get to go through the entire journey.
But I just want to catch all the Pokemon.
I know.
I
I
want to be
get
the
it.
very best.
He's a collector, remember?
So you have these microtransactions, which started in mobile games
Yeah.
Yep.
and have now.
I was going to say we're missing something that we haven't really talked about in terms of the hardware and video game graphics and just gaming in general is
Mobile.
the
Mobile
mobile
gaming.
aspect. There are some pretty awesome games.
I play one daily, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
Yeah.
and
DC
that
Legends.
has some fucking heavy pay to win features in it if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want. But I play it I've never spent. I think I spent $10 on it when I first started playing, just because I started a year late. I was
Versus
like,
when we started playing Pokemon Go.
oh, and I paid like $50. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so Galaxy of Heroes, I dropped $10 on it just to kind of catch up and see what it's about. I've never paid a dime since, and I love that game and it's fun. There are people who, it's hard to get to the top of the leaderboards because there are people who drop $1,000 a month on this game and have top tier shit.
Oh,
so
just
like,
made my heart hurt.
doesn't only affect you, but it affects the community as a whole. These pay to win
Yeah.
features, because there's no way I'm ever gonna do that. I'm never gonna get to number 1. I know that.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
Are we still talking about video games?
Yeah, this is
We're not talking about the society as a whole. Okay.
Oh, it kind of is that. But yeah, I'm kind of, there is a big part of me that when EA was forced to take out the loot boxes, I fucking jumped for joy. I'm still not going to give them my money for the game, but I was like, good. Fuck you guys for trying to get 12-year-olds to get their mom's credit
And
card.
you know that was Disney being like, take him out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, they approved to put it in the first place, so they're not scotch-free either. But I'll go on record, fuck EA, man. Used to be one of my favorite companies back when Madden was the shit, and like,
Yeah.
but they have driven
I think they're the
plethora.
the most hated
They have,
publisher, I believe.
yeah. Well, they've
More
driven.
than Ubisoft?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
absolutely.
Oh.
They've driven more than 5 of my favorite game studios into the ground and killed them, and because they bought them. And
Which
they
are?
well, one of the biggest ones was Visceral. That was the one that was developing the new Star Wars first person story game, and they decided to buy Visceral, basically fire the entire team, and remap the game so that it was some pay to win strategy game.
Whoa.
But it looked like it was going to be gorgeous. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer from E3, but it is Tatooine. It's like the cantina in Tatooine, and at the very end, you see this.
Womp.
It looks very
Womp.
like Uncharted graphics.
Yeah.
And you see this guy in this duster walk out of the cantina into this beautiful, beautiful 4K world, and then it says, coming soon or whatever. And EA recently bought them and drove it in the ground because they wanted to make more money out of it. Because a single player story, no one's gonna spend DLC, no one's gonna buy in-game items, no one's gonna buy loot boxes for a single player game. So fuck them.
Yeah.
And that, my friends, is why
grumpy
you always
Corey.
know.
Grump Corey.
Are we cool with that? Because I want to talk about
Yeah,
one of my
please.
biggest qualms
please.
about the video game
Qualmy
industry.
qualms.
Okay, this is kind of stupid, but it's still my biggest qualm when it comes to the video game industry, and it's something that came up in my life recently because my wife
Women
brought up a good
character
point.
armor in video games.
No.
Oh.
No.
Which I think is
no.
a big point.
Yeah.
It is a big point, but no. Oh man, that is a really good one.
Mhm.
That's a really big qualm.
Can we talk about that or no?
Can I do this and
Let's
then
do
we
his.
can talk about that?
Yeah.
Oh, Josh.
I am not happy about not cross-platform.
Ah.
I'm not
For
happy
those of you
about
at
that.
home playing the home game, Xbox over here, Tom, PlayStation over there.
PlayStation,
you,
Nintendo.
You two have both.
I now have
Right.
both.
Tom and I
But
will
who
never.
has Nintendo? That's
You.
what
Nintendo.
Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Ollie, come over here. Let me kiss
I'll
you.
reach.
Tom and I will never ever be able to play
But
games
here,
together.
no, that brings up a really good point for me. I'm sorry. I don't
God.
want to have to buy 3 fucking
Consoles.
consoles so I can play with my fucking friends.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's like my wife brought up the good point. She was like, I don't understand. You already have a PlayStation 4. Why do you need an Xbox? Because there are certain games I can't play on this, or blah blah blah. Because my friends have, or my brother has an Xbox. I can't play the games I already fucking own on PlayStation 4 on my Xbox.
No cross
I'm-
platform.
Or I just don't get it.
Except for Rocket League.
I want to jump on this.
Rocket League,
I
yeah,
want to jump on
Which
this
is
train.
I get Rocket League is a fun game.
But there's more than just fucking Rocket League in the world.
Yeah.
I want to jump on this train too, just because as a kid growing up, I was like Nintendo all the way. We talked about this in Video Games R Us, but also like to your point I think in Destiny, where it's like, it should be about cooperation. It's like we should all be playing, but
Yes.
understanding the world is a business and all
Yeah,
this
it's
shit.
a
It's like
business, I
capitalism.
get it, but-
I
blah,
have
blah,
no
blah,
problem
trying
with
to make
exclusives.
No
I mean-
problem at all with exclusives. But the fact that I have Destiny on one system, or no, I have
Overwatch.
whatever the fuck it is, but I can't play with my brother who's on an Xbox. This is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I already
think at the
paid this
very
company.
least, it should be consoles.
the consoles. Yeah.
To be
I
able
just want
play
to throw
with
this out
consoles.
there. Microsoft has extended an olive branch.
I understand what you're saying, but this is it's a whole industry
want it
thing
to
that I think
happen.
is stupid. And there shouldn't be. It's kind of like human rights and civil rights. Are we still fucking talking about this? This is not a thing. It's 2018.
Yeah.
Buck up and pair up.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
I agree,
bullshit.
man. It is so super bullshit.
Sorry.
This is the most angry I've ever seen.
I've never
Yeah.
seen you like. I'm a little
Well, because
nervous. I'm
it's-
nervous laughing over
Well,
here.
no. The thing is that
that
Because
cry.
it's impossible for the 4 of us to play games together.
Yeah.
We'll never be able to play games together.
we're never going to be able to play video games
you know
unless
why?
somebody throws down $500.
No, you know why? Because Corey hasn't gotten a second console. We all have 2 consoles.
But he shouldn't
I have PC.
to.
Man, oh my God, Corey!
Yeah, PC,
Master Race. Hold my hand, Ollie.
Get out of here! Get out of here!
I guess my thing is no,
Battle
not
on
money.
Earth over here.
For me, as I've become an adult and I've had to learn how to run money, I think of when I was a kid and the money that would have to be spent, and I'm like, no, it's not all about money. It's about the experience and all that kind of stuff. But still, it's like
It's about the money.
I also think about I'm in a place where I have the means that I can do that, and that's great. I'm very grateful for my where I am in my life right now, but not everybody is there.
Yeah.
And so if I want to play with a friend of mine, I did this for my brother. I was like, I really want to play this game with you, so I'm gonna buy it for you.
Yeah.
And it's like it's silly how much money has to be thrown out for the gaming.
Absolutely.
Hey, everyone at home, listen to this. Think what's going to happen in 3 years when all the new consoles come out? You're gonna have to buy them all over again.
Yep.
PlayStation X and Xbox 1, 2, 4, and then Nintendo
Switcheroo.
Hopscotch to come out.
Sorry,
and then,
I just got really heated. I'm
did.
sorry,
That was
everybody
the-
at
that was
home.
the-
But it's something that I really am passionate about that I just
Well-
don't, because I believe in collaboration. And I believe that I should be able to just get online and play with my friends. It's the game that I'm playing. I'm not, it's on Xbox or it's on PS4, but it's the game that I'm playing.
Yeah.
Why should I not be able to play Destiny, even though he hates it, with Corey, just because we're just having a good time making fun of it or whatever?
it's like a server thing, right, or something like that.
No.
I'm assuming
No, they just don't want to do it.
It's contracts with
No.
PlayStation and
Yeah, they have
It's
contracts
like
with
is all the
PlayStation.
Destiny servers on one server,
it's
and
all
like,
Blizzard or Activision.
and then all the the Overwatch stuff is on one. I mean, I know again, like PC.
They
to
literally
console.
just have-
Bungie, Destiny's on Bungie servers.
They just
sorry,
have-
everybody
They
at
just have to
home.
connect them.
The problem is with Destiny specifically, Activision has a exclusivity contract with PlayStation, where they have like a few guns and like a couple maps are exclusive to PlayStation for a year, and then they go to other like PC and Xbox.
Wow.
So that we were all hoping that would stop after Destiny 1, but they just did it again. So It's an Activision thing. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I just don't understand it. Anyway, moving on.
It's an interesting. No, I mean that's a really big one. I mean, there's a lot to that.
Because on Bungie.net, you can log into Bungie.net, connect all of your your Battle.net, your Xbox, and your PlayStation into your Blizzard account, into your Bungie account, and you could theoretically, if that was the case, then you would be able to just
actually,
have Bungie friends and have a Bungie friends list.
Oh, here goes.
Something that I just thought about. So I got an Xbox recently.
Yeah.
Yay! Exciting. And I got South Park Fractured Butthole. And I was able to connect my Ubisoft account from my PS4. So all of my rewards that I might have had available were available.
Keyword might have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I played. Anyway. So it was like, oh, this is cool.
You play or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I
Or
think
like my
account.
Blizzard connection with when I started playing Diablo with you guys. I just connected it with my PSN account. And any rewards that were associated with previous purchases
I have to
were
say
there.
that's my one gripe with Overwatch is that my unlocks don't carry over.
Your Battle.net.
Yeah.
I think. Well, I was gonna say. I think that's probably maybe. I don't know. This is me. Like this is the prodigal son prophecy. Might happen because that Warner Brothers games does that pretty well. Where you have a Warner Brothers account and it like knows if you've bought a lot of shit for your games and it connects them. Because the one thing I remember is I playing Injustice on the mobile game, so I can get the Batman Beyond skin on Arkham City, and I was like, fuck. Yes, that's what I wanted. And I think if you think about it, like it's probably going to come up to the game developers to probably make like an account for you so that it can link up and you can play with other people. Kind of maybe sort of overpassing like the console war, but
basically like the industry has a lot of growing pains that it's going through right now. It's becoming a big boy and it realizes this and it doesn't know how to deal with it. I hope it all shakes out, and I hope like we get to a place where we don't have to have these. Like,
would a good analogy be like
about
for this cross-platform thing? It's like if Sony releases a movie and then like Disney releases a movie, they only show in certain theaters.
Yep, you have to go to a Disney theater.
You can only watch it on Sony DVD players.
That sucks booty hole, guys.
It sucks. It's frustrating. I do want to talk about what we mentioned a little bit before because
this came up in the Justice League episode.
This is a gripe of mine, and it's women's armor in video games.
I want to jump on it real quick.
Especially, go ahead.
One thing I really hated, and I started playing it because I remember talking about it in the video games episode. I was playing Mad Max. By the way, I fucking hate that game, and I stopped playing it.
Okay.
I started playing Metal Gear Solid: Phantom Pain, and you can get Quiet, who's modeled after some girl in Japan who's beautiful and all this stuff. But you get new clothes for Snake, but the new clothes you get for the girl Quiet is like just gold skin suits and gold and silver skin suits. Well, and her character is literally, she has to be hydrated at all times, so she has to wear less clothing. And I was just like, my God, if fucking Tom as a 12-year-old had this shit, that door would be locked all the time. But that's not okay. That's not okay in a video game.
The spank bank is full.
Seriously, I was just like, the concept of the character like maybe is cool, but the fact that she's like cladded in like she's wearing a bikini, she got like a net like leggings, and they're all torn up, and she literally is in a jail cell the entire game. I mean, at least where I'm at, and most of the time she's laying down and she takes off her bikini, and I'm just like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and like the thing is, you literally spend the game looking at her. I'm like, this feels wrong.
Well, as someone who comes from
an
MMO background where you can get a piece of plate armor for your male avatar and it covers his entire chest and it's huge and it's bulky and you're like, I feel
you can
fucking
barely see skin.
I'm badass wearing this thing, and then the girl gets it and it's a bra.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking ridiculous. I mean,
you have games like the Dead or Alive games. I think that's what they are.
Oh yeah, where the beach volleyball and
they're
stuff.
borderline porn.
It doesn't make any sense, man.
And the Dead or Alive game came around. Like Dead or Alive games came around. Like I think the times where like all these fighter games came out, like Tekken, Street Fighter, Soul Calibur. And I want to bring up Soul Calibur specifically because there's the character Ivy. Tiggo bitties and like she's
physics.
Big old like everything's bodacious, and you could change her outfits too. And the thing about these games, like you could change their outfits based on like glamour and shit like that in game, so no microtransactions or shit like that. But everyone got these really cool armored pieces outfits, but like there were just all these women who's just like, boobs jiggling around for no reason. It's like, you know what? I'm slicing you with a sword. This doesn't seem logical.
That's why I always played as Voldo.
Because you're disgusting and you
Yeah.
look like him. But I mean, there are things like that where it's like, as a kid, as a
It's
previ-
game logic. It's video game logic that you're like,
Sex
it just
sells. I mean,
Well,
that's
to
what
me,
it comes
okay,
down to.
I would say I was probably like in the, I don't know if this is a minority or majority, but like I loved that shit growing up because I was like a fucking perv, peeping Tom. But like,
you were a teenage boy.
yeah, and then now growing
That's
up,
what it's for. I mean, that's why it's there. It's
Yeah.
but now like I'm growing up and I'm like, in a weird way, like obviously women are humans, but also it's like I don't care about this character because they're not taking this character seriously either.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like why
They
I don't-
take the way, like, okay, so some classic examples. Tifa Lockhart.
Mm-hmm.
She's
oh,
barely wearing anything. Tomb Raider, Lara
Yeah.
Croft.
which
She always has her midriff showing, and you're like, and you go, okay, so you're going through this
jungle.
ancient,
Yeah. And you want to.
and you're
and
wearing
Ryan's around you.
short shorts. and
wearing hockey pads.
but I will say
That made sense. That one was okay.
Thank you.
I will say actually with those two examples, like time has gotten better with them.
Yeah.
Because in Advent Children with Final Fantasy, Tifa doesn't wear like her tank top and short shorts. She wears like this long black leather dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's all it is covering is showing her arms.
Oh, in the new
Everything-
Tomb Raider, she's got.
And she got pants and she
Khakis.
doesn't have like and funny trivia fact with the Lara Croft boobs, like apparently like right before they exported it, like they accidentally doubled her boobs. And that's why they were so big.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so like they just kept it because it became like
Accidentally.
Someone did it.
someone did it and they probably
Somebody
just
was like,
do it.
Yep.
Fight fucking perp.
Ship it.
But
We'll fix it in a patch.
But then, like later on,
What's a patch?
I don't know if
the
you
boob
guys have
patch.
played any of the more recent Tomb Raider games, but she's not as like stupid, bodacious, and she's more of like this girl that's like trying to like follow in her own footsteps now. Like a lot of it's like, oh, I need to follow my father's, but it's more of like, what do you need to follow in your own? So you get that good heroine story, but then she's not wearing like tight shorts and you
Yeah.
know got sunglasses for no reason and like giant boobs. She's like normal, you know, petite girl. So I
That's the thing. It's like they're kind of moving away from that a little bit, at least.
but there's still
Good.
like huge like offenders of that shit where it's
Right.
like, come
Yeah.
on.
yeah.
Well, I feel like that's
I-
really good. You got one more?
I want to actually, I mean, and this is weird because Josh became the grumpy guy, Corey became the grumpy guy. I
like how we're the grumps about
you're losing
video
your
games.
you're losing your grump identity.
Yeah,
I don't
man.
give a fuck. New year, new
Your
me.
grumpdenity.
New year, 2018. Who dis? Anyways,
Hashtag not my
but
Tom.
I want to go around the circle and say, what is the worst DLC you ever bought?
Oh, jeez.
I think that'd be a cool one.
Destiny.
Where's DLC?
Worst DLC. Destiny.
I didn't buy it. No, I don't think I know what my worst DLC
Yeah, I
was.
can't really.
How about let's end it on a positive note.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
say
I mean, that was kind of like a fun thing. I was
your
trying-
favorite gaming experience in recent like history.
Oh, I like that.
I'm okay with that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, can we end it on a positive? Like the
Yeah.
when it comes to DLC, that's hard because I don't.
Because I don't honestly
the
don't buy
best
DLC,
DLC I ever
except
bought.
for like Destiny.
Well, I feel for me, if I were to answer that question, I was like Battlefront.
If I really want it,
Like the first
I'll
one, I was
get
like,
it.
Yeah.
oh, when I fucking bought like some Jakku shit, I was like, fuck.
I don't
Force
like when
Awakens
I
came out, was
buy
like,
it.
fuck you.
I don't like when I buy a game that I'm really excited about, and I'm like, you know what? I know I'm gonna play it, so I just get the deluxe edition,
Yeah.
And then
and I get it, and then the DLC starts being released, and you're like,
I've already had it.
Oh, I
baby.
can answer
I
that
don't,
now, actually.
I don't want that.
The
I
Division.
didn't need that.
Huh?
The Division.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
got the
Oh.
gold edition, and then I did not touch the DLC at all because the game was so bad.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
holding your hand from that. Yes,
across the way.
Yeah, that was a good one.
and also Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yeah.
Didn't touch the DLC. Love the full game.
And again, like I say this before, I don't want to like partake too much of the hatred of the cultures of like what nerd
Yeah,
culture
yeah,
could be, but it is kind of nice to have a like
So thinking of a game as a whole,
well, it's nice to have a singular enemy of like we don't like bad DLCs.
Yeah.
That's
I don't
like,
think I've
we
had
kinda
bad
bond-
DLC
we
because
could
if I
bond.
don't like the game, I don't buy the DLC.
That's a good point.
Fallout
only-
4 I really enjoyed from beginning to end, including the game
Well, I mean,
and the
and the
DLC.
Has there never been a game that you bought that you liked and then also you bought the DLC? Like this is it,
No,
really? Oh,
no,
there it
because I
is.
don't buy DLC often.
Mm.
Halo is really the only thing I've invested a lot of money in as far as DLC goes. Yeah, I don't know.
I really enjoyed Fractured But Whole.
Booty hole?
But its DLC hasn't really been released yet since it's such a new game.
Yeah.
I don't like it when they release DLC that's kind of like a multiplayer aspect of the game or new fights or something, and that's all you're doing. I want more story. When a DLC comes out, I want more story.
Yep, I agree.
I want more story that I can play and stuff like that. I don't need to play with my friends on something
Who
certain.
needs friends?
Who needs friends?
I can tell you my favorite game in recent history, though. That's a for sure thing I can do. Are you gonna guess?
No.
You look like you're about to
I
guess.
was trying to. I was like, nah, I don't know.
Do you have DLC that you hated?
I think I said so.
Did you?
I forget now.
Well, go, Corey.
Oh,
Must have been a lie.
good. This has been a real good wind down from our episode.
Yeah.
The favorite game that I've had
Good job.
recently is Luna hair in my mouth. Excuse me.
Shout out to Luna.
What was definitely, I mean, Legion was probably my overarcher this year. Like that's the game I spent the most time on. As far as the expansion goes, it totally, like I almost quit World of Warcraft after that last expansion before it. So to have something that reinvigorated me so much that I played it for a year was huge to me. Mass Effect was fun at first. Got really boring really quick, unfortunately. It's one of my favorite franchises, but Andromeda didn't do it for me. What were you going to say?
I already said what my worst DLC was, and I guess he didn't hear it.
Oh,
Sorry.
say it again.
It was Battlefront. It was when I had to
Oh, that's
download
right.
the Force
I remember
Awakens
now.
crap. Pissed.
But I mean, I think I would still have to stick with the expansion of WoW. I mean, I paid. Think about that is like WoW. I pay $30 for every one of those expansions, and I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
because every single one I've gotten.
Feels like a brand new
You gotta
game.
have
Yeah.
content.
So that'd be.
I mean,
mine.
we didn't talk about like Xbox Live accounts, PSN accounts, like having to pay for those.
It's
but
frustrating.
I mean, the good thing is they're only $10
I remember the good days.
or $60 a year or something like that.
I do mine $60 a year.
Yeah, you
'cause-
do.
I remember when PlayStation didn't have to have that shit. I remember I had a
No, I-
PlayStation 3 and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And that was my big thing. I was like, fuck you, Xbox. Like, you had to do your Xbox Live account, just play online. It's like PlayStation, you didn't have to. And now it's like, oh, well, fine. I guess you're going to make more money, so go ahead.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo didn't have to do that either. And I don't think you still don't have to pay to play online with other people. But, like, their online servers were garbage. Like, I remember playing
Right.
Smash Bros. Brawl online, and I was whooping ass because I whoop ass at that game. And I was just like, don't worry, I hit you. It's just lagging. It's just like taking a real lagging on like
You're about to see the
on a
and
brawling game.
There it is.
is so underwhelming.
We really need a Smash on Switch because I haven't played Smash in so long.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I think that's a good place to end it.
But
No, other good
So
game.
what is the true price of gaming?
A lot.
Thousands.
A lot,
No,
guys.
A lot of money.
Far more than the price tag on the box. Let's
Yes.
just put it that way.
I wanted to give a shout out to The Last of Us.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my
Oh,
favorite game
yes.
in recent memory. Just the storytelling and everything about it was so.
And the
well done.
addition, the DLC Left Behind.
Yes, see, that's
That
like
was
a good
good.
example of good DLC.
Yeah.
It's completely separate, and
Yeah.
you have a cohesive experience. With
You have
Last
a
of
world
Us.
that they've built in the
And then that's
main
separate,
game.
yeah.
And then they gave you the
Last of
yeah.
Us 2 is going to be so good.
Oh my god, I'm so
The
excited.
last good game experience I got was probably Wolf Among Us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
Okay.
also Digimon Cyber Sleuth. I know. I gotta represent my Asian bros and all the other people who love anime shit. But it's pretty much like the RPG Digimon game, but then like it was like that part of Pokemon that I wanted to have on a console that I never got. That Digimon was like, yeah, we'll give it to you. Here's a console
Yeah.
game. It's like, fucking thank you. It's not open world or a sandbox at all, but like I just want to see my 3D ass Pokemon Digivolve. Then I was like, oh well, now I get Agumons. I can Digivolve. So I'm like, okay, cool. And I want fucking Omnimon.
Still waiting for that 3D Pokemon game.
It's never gonna happen.
Oh, well.
Anyway.
It's never gonna happen.
Well, there we
So,
go.
I feel good about that. I still
Yeah.
feel a little heated. My heart hurts a little bit.
Well, these are things that aren't
we care about.
solved. That's why.
And we
Yeah.
care about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a thing that we know we're gonna leave this room still having to deal with.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Everybody at home, tell us. We want to hear your qualms about
Or the good
game-
things
or
about
the-
gaming
yeah,
industry.
Exactly. What do you love about the industry? What do you not love so much? I'm
Yeah.
totally down to hear that.
What game do you wish was cross-platform?
Yeah. Let's do the follow stuff.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All of our information in terms of following us, all of our social medias is
Media.
all in one place.
Media is a plural by itself.
The interwebs. Nerdonthepodcast.com. And a very important thing about our website is there's something new that we have launched.
Yeah.
that is our Patreon. We launched it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it is up. And we already have some patrons. So thank you,
to
everybody.
guys. We'll have
Thank you for supporting the show.
some stuff for y'alls. There's some cool
Yeah.
rewards on there. Check it out.
Yeah. Check
This
it out.
podcast, as Josh says, does not run itself. We'd like it to. We'd like to do this for a living. We can't
Yeah.
yet.
Not
But
yet.
with your help, we may just get the first step in the door.
Yeah. So, yeah, all of our social media stuff, all of our individual social media stuff is on the website as well, on the About page. You can check it out, all of our various websites, credits, blah, blah, blah.
Instagrammies, Twitters.
Yeah.
We should add, I don't think I've added yet, but we should add our Blizzard accounts on there and stuff
Definitely.
like that. So but those
all
will,
our
those will
game
probably be up
tags.
there by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah. And we'd like to give a special shout out to another podcast. If you're looking for another nerdy film podcast, Bears on Film.
Shout out.
Yep, shout out.
Thank you.
Yeah, been super supportive on the Twitters and on Instagram, and it's been really cool. But they shouted us out on their show as well.
So tag you're it, Bears
Yeah.
on Film.
Awesome. Everybody at home, thank you for listening. As always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.